Hi, welcome to Sketching Matters. This is Andre. Um, I hope you're well. This is another part of the Krita Toolbox. I haven't really planned out this series much now that I'm thinking about it. Basically, it's a series of unedited videos where I'm just playing around in Krita and seeing what works, what doesn't work, um, drawing a bit, designing a bit, editing a bit, and all that jazz. So, as always on this channel, this video was made in collaboration with Computers for Social Change, and this video wouldn't exist without Computers for Social Change. So, if you'd like to learn more information about this amazing initiative, please click on the link in the description. I'll put it there. Okay, let's get into it. So, first, I think I'll change this background that I have here a bit. So because I added it as a fill layer previously, I can now just unlock it and go in with some different tone. I'll click F, which is the shortcut for this fill tool, and now I can just paint over it. All that just painted transparently. I did not mean to do that, which is just confusing actually. Why is it transparent? Yet again, transparent. Hmm. Do I not understand how a fill layer works? I'm not sure if you can actually use the fill tool on it like I expect you can. Um, Let me try shifting the color in here, see what that does. Still just transparent, isn't it? Okay. We go with rectangular section tool, try to delete what I filled this with. Still transparent. Why is it transparent? How is my... I'm not sure why this is acting the way it is. I'll look that up afterwards because I thought with a fill layer you could just easily use the fill tool on it, but maybe I'm incorrect. Either way, for now I'll just add a new layer. I don't want to deal with this right now. I'll select everything by pressing Ctrl A, and I'll just fill it with the color I want using the fill tool again. Okay, as you can see probably, that's not the color I used, so something is still very wrong. Um, is my colors? What's my color space? RGB, why is it not actually adding the color I want then? It's surprising to say the least. When I brush? When I brush it's okay. What's with my brush then? What's with my fill tool, I mean? Let me open this up. Is it because the grows on minus? No, not it. Is it because I'm using the background color instead of the foreground color? That was it. Yeah, okay. Alright, so that was a bit of a segue as I clearly didn't read up on how fill layers work in Krita, but now I actually have somewhat of a background I want, although the edges seem to be not there yet. It's not really a problem. I'm not going for a specific image size right now. Let's just use the crop tool, shortcut C, but this time I just pressed it in the toolbox and I'll just crop around the white areas that I don't want. Click enter. Now they're gone. Okay, let's actually get into sketching. I'm not going to be probably drawing warm-up sketches this time since I wasted so much space by not knowing how to use this program despite making instruction videos on it. Um, well, life is funny like that. Um, I don't know why I picked this kind of cyan color to go with my next sketch. I don't even know what I'm drawing again, so I'll just hope I find it along the way. It was really foggy this morning, and when I left the house, it was actually difficult to see down the hill, and then the weather just completely shifted in the afternoon. It suddenly became sunny, and uh, vapor was coming out of earth. It was quite a quite a cool change up. Um, I'm still what am I actually trying to draw here? Well, first I thought this was a palm tree, but now I'm thinking I actually quite like the uh this shape that I've drawn here. So what I'll delete this stuff that I put here. Um, Again, selecting it using S, I'll click Control X. I did the incorrect thing of drawing on top of my background layer. That's fine, we can fix these problems. Control Z, I'll just paint over it with the background color, keeping my selection there. It's the same as deleting it in this case. And now I'll just make sure to remember to draw on this layer. Okay, sketch. It's a bit of a mess that this part is still in the background, but for these tiny sketches, layer organization isn't as important, although it is still quite important. So I thought this was maybe a leg there. I quite like the direction it's heading. So I'll try to expand this and actually draw more of a pose. I don't know if I'll go for a realistic human or if it's gonna be some sort of a monster again or some sort of a creature. I might be drawing like a cyborg or something. Could be cool. I Sure, let's kind of exaggerate the proportions here. I think I like the idea of putting a metallic part to this body as well. Um, okay, so because I kept all this stuff on the background layer, now it's actually quite annoying that I would have to go back in and cut it from that layer or draw over it on that layer, but I can just go over here by holding control. I can sample the color of the background and then just draw over whatever I don't want. And when I go over the stuff I drew on the top layer, it's not doing anything. Same as erasing, basically. So far, I haven't used any of the eraser brushes. I don't know. I don't actually quite like using them. Um, I think I just prefer either brushing over things to hide errors or to make adjustments, or by doing this selection thing where you can easily move stuff around, rotate it by using the transform tool, or by clicking Control T, which is the shortcut for it. Um, and just kind of, instead of using the eraser, just selecting and then cutting with Control X, what I don't like in this case, except it's on the paint layer again, so I have to paint over it, which is annoying, but I'll just get rid of all of it. Okay, and now I can just safely draw on the sketch layer without having to worry about any artifacts on my layer with the background color, which I would have set up correctly if I just created a new file instead of messing around with fill layers for the first 5 minutes. Well, that's the nature of unscripted videos, I guess. Or that's just me messing up. Classic. All right, so I'll just try to move this so I don't move this pose so I don't go out of bounds of my canvas. Let me add somewhat of a neck here. I don't know. I kind of like the idea of this not quite being a person. It might be a statue now that I'm looking at it. Maybe a statue that lost its top part and now is quite sad without it. Okay. I quite don't like how these hands are coming together, so let me adjust. Cool. So, especially when I'm drawing people, mistakes are so easy to make that I might get a bit quiet sometimes. Although I did say I wasn't drawing a person, so maybe I just need to change how I think about it. And there isn't really a head there right now. Let me try and define some different tones. I'll switch the brush, why not? And go with a bit of a darker color, just to add stronger outlines on one side. Control Z this whole line. I didn't like how it was keeping up with the shape of this leg. Da, da, da. There we go. Bit of a bump there in the knee. Now I draw the calf. Is it calf? The same as a baby cow? Is that how you draw this? How you call this part? Okay, so you know this series is really not about making great drawings, which is convenient for me to say now that I've gone for 12 minutes and I don't really like what I'm seeing. But um, even bad drawings are a part of the drawing process, and sometimes it's important to reflect even on the mistakes, like the messing up with the fill layer that I was doing. Um, Now I'll remember that the fill tool sometimes messes with that, and I can look up what I did incorrectly later on. Okay. Um, so how will I figure out this mechanoid I'm drawing here? I'm thinking we'll go with some sort of a probe coming out of this area. So, I was saying it might be a statue. Now I've kind of gone back again, and uh, I've said that maybe it's some sort of a mechanical creature again that is meant to look like a human. I think what I'll do is I'll kind of try to circle this around, make it appear like it's really kind of winding around the body, and here I'll plop a camera. Okay, let me just kind of fix up this wiring. So far here I've been mainly using the brush tool, a lot of undos, quite a bit of the selection tool, and the color sampler tool. That's kind of the majority of the tools in here that I use during drawings. But as we explore more of the toolbox, we'll look at all of these other various functions and how they can complement your drawing style, whether you are drawing using a drawing tablet, or whether you are using a mouse, or whether you're editing imagery, or whether you're creating sketches. So, stay tuned. We'll cover all of these strange looking shapes for now. Let's just stick to brushing. And brushing can really take you a long way. You know, you can create beautiful landscapes just by adding more brush strokes, like Bob Ross used to do. Although that was in a digital medium, but I think the same applies here. You don't have to do all the fancy stuff by adding filters and by rendering your image multiple times and then going over and playing with the color space and things like that. You know, they're useful tools, but all you need really at the end of the day can just be in the brush selection here and with the colors that you have here. And by combining them, you can create very beautiful things. Let me change how this leg is positioned. Now I broke it. Not necessarily ideal. I think I just want to actually change how this one is interacting with the ground. So I'll probably shift it to stand a bit further away, and I'll try to position the knee somewhere here. Okay, so because this leg is kind of facing towards us right now, we're not seeing as much of the calf as on this one, but we're actually seeing the front, which is the shin, right? The shin. Okay, so whatever. The camera's a bit smaller than I thought it would be. Let me just add some more kind of crazy shapes around here. Now it's looking more like kind of a fungus, and I actually like the idea. Instead of going with a camera sticking out of a neck like that, I'll kind of go over here and add some sort of a like a crown. I don't know what they're called with when it comes to mushrooms, when it comes to fungi. Um, like it's a crown when you refer to a tree, but when it's a mushroom, I don't know. Let me just squish it back a bit. So I'll go S to select it and Control T again to transform. And if you ever find yourself with a selection that doesn't actually do what you want, and maybe it's, you know, you missed a spot or you selected it some weird way that's changing it in an unexpected way, you can just go Control D, which deselects everything that you have. And it can also be good if you if you're brushing and nothing is actually happening on your screen. So you either might be on the wrong layer, or you're drawing with the background color, or as happens quite often to me, you have a selection somewhere on the screen. And when you have a selection like down here, and then you try to draw over this, I can pick any color I want and nothing's gonna change. And I can go to any layer I want and nothing's gonna change because the only space that is selected and where I can draw is actually just down here. Okay, I don't actually know where I'm going with this. Let me turn down the opacity, stick to this purple color that I just used there to add a bit of a shadow. You know, the background is red. I used cyan for the outlines for the sketch, so I feel like purple is kind of a natural complementing color for the shadows. So I'll just add them on one side of the body, and I'm really not being clean with it. Um, okay, let me just add a bit more shadow to the top part here to add a bit of a dimension. Okay, that's the the armpits around here. I want to make those a bit darker just to show that the arms are kind of coming up from there. Now I'm using kind of a low opacity brush just to fill these shadows in, but um, No, it's only again quite a rough sketch, so I'm not going for super detail. That's also why I'm keeping everything in one layer. If I was doing a more precise illustration, I'd want to split a layer up for my sketch, for the line art, for maybe the top of the head, for the bottom of the head, whatever. As many varieties as you wish at that point, really. But it's just good to keep things separated in that case, so that you can go back in and edit things easily and uh, make adjustments that don't ruin the rest of your drawing. Uh, or you can also, just keep entirely separate sketches in one file. So if I now go and click this eye icon on the sketch layer, because I've been putting everything in there, I can very quickly move it in and out of scope. Okay, so I think I've just passed the 21-minute mark. So while I'm sketching here with a bit more of a lower opacity red color, which is the background, just to kind of fix up some of these shadows, make them blend in together, uh, I'll say goodbye, and I hope that this video was enjoyable or useful. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'd love to hear how you've been using Krita and what sort of topics you'd like to see in the future. If you have some recommendations, they're always useful. Okay, and I'd love to read them. Cool. So, I'm not very happy with this drawing, to be honest. So I'll probably just very quickly delete it after this is done. Uh, if you want to then get a quick of a kind of a quick overview of what is on each layer, you can just hover, and that shows you this little overview of what's going on. Cool. Uh, Thank you for watching if you made it this far, and I'll see you next time on the Krita Toolbox.